edition. It is all about us treating issues, some topics, contemporary issues, especially talking about education, the health sector, agriculture, education, like I said, health and other issues, the economy, yes, of course, the economy, the petroleum sector, and other issues affecting Nigerians, and of course, also affecting the government. Now, and like you always know too, that we always have eminent personalities that, come along with me most times to discuss these issues. And that is talking about the issue that we want to talk about today. It is not a new issue. It has been lingering with us for a very long time, and it is still lingering. And in fact, it is pushing the people, not to the wall, into the wall right now as I am speaking. And of course, I have Chief Remi Adedeji. Remi Adedeji is a veteran Labour leader. Yes, in the past, I used to know him as a very active Labour leader. Then, Chief Remi Adedeji, you are welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, viewers.
And yes, of course, is not new on the program. Mr. Bright Richard is a public affairs analyst. You're welcome, Mr. Bright.
Yeah, good afternoon to our viewers and good afternoon.
Yes, like I said, the issue is not new. Talking about fuel prices. Yes, the rising fuel prices. And of course, just recently, the Trade Union Congress, they said they were demanding for a kind of palliative that will, help assist civil servants. Yes, the federal government mentioned that, the civil servants. And in my own opinion, I was thinking, only civil servants, only the people in Nigeria, they should think of palliative measures that will solve the problems, that will heal the wounds of Nigerians as a whole. That is what my way of thought. And of course, just recently, fuel have been on the increase, hovering between some prices, and sometimes it will come down a bit, sometimes it will go up. Now, it has gone up. It is now very high. And, they are attributing this situation we are in now to the Iran-Iraq-US war, which has blocked the Strait of Hormuz. Yes, like they always say, it is a route that vessels usually go back and forth to, purchase crude, to refine petrol. Now, it is under scrutiny. Any vessel, like it was being said, that passes through that route, that Strait of Hormuz, Iran, he said it will be bombed. Now, the movement is being restricted. It is not only any vessel that can move, yes, across that. It is those that have been registered that can move now to collect. So it has affected not only Nigeria, all countries across the world. Yes, it has affected. Now, just go to the questions proper. I want to ask Chief Adedeji. Yes, before that, let me quickly go through this right up here, talking about the issue we are in and some points that might come into use as we speak. Well, talking about the fuel price impact, yes, TUC's proposal, government response, economic implications, and yes, the economic implications. Everybody knows the economic implications, and of course, it is affecting movement of people. It is affecting the daily economic lives of people. It is affecting infrastructural development. It is even affecting government. Yes, it is affecting the underprivileged individuals. What do we do? Well, I have some questions there. Well, the Minister of Finance, he said, I just read it in newspapers this morning, he said he just blamed the recent fuel hike and the difficulties being faced by Nigerians to what is happening in Iran and US and and Israel. So I want to ask, Chief, has not been problems in the petroleum sector in the past, even before this problem emerged?
Thank you very much. This is a very good topic we are discussing today. Whether we like it or not, petroleum is the mainstay of our economy. Your question is, has there not been fuel hike crisis in Nigeria before now? There had been. Price of fuel has not been stable in Nigeria. It is soaring up and down. There are so many reasons why this is happening. Lack of monitoring of fuel that is coming in and going out. Our borders are porous. If you are regular travelers, night travelers on our roads in Nigeria, you see how much they siphon our fuel out of Nigeria. Bunkering, and so many things.
And pipelines damages.
Pipeline vandalism. You see all these things. To say that it is because of the blockade of Strait of Hormuz or Iran, Israel, US war that is causing this thing may be a kind of defensive mechanism on the part of our government. Because if there had been proper monitoring, whatever is coming out and is monitored to the last consumer, there won't be problem. Even when Dangote started building fuel now, you discover that we only have small sign of relief. Now that we are relaxing, we are trying to enjoy what this is bringing to us, they started another wahala in the area of fuel price. It is not because of, not only because of the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz or the war between Iran, US, and US that this thing is happening. We are not giving the supply, production, and distribution of fuel the correct monitoring so that it can get to the final consumer without stress. That is just what I've observed.
Yes. Now, how is this, what is happening now, this situation, how is it directly affecting Nigerians in all aspects?
In all aspects, it will affect Nigeria. You know, I told you before that the mainstay of our economy is petroleum. Most people, when you see them, you say, I'm into oil and gas. Oil and gas. It is wrong like this. You will say, I'm into oil and gas. Common man cannot go to work without trekking. Cost of food item are skyrocketing. Because if you have to go by transport, you pay exorbitant transport fare. And all these things will be passed to other communities we enjoy. It is affecting all our facets of life. Because before you carry goods and services from inner of the country, you discover that you need fuel. And when you don't buy fuel at a price that will make it easy for people to buy or to buy it, finish the product, what they do is bring it down to the town. How would they bring it to the town when they don't have correct price of transportation to come down to the city? So if you continue to say it, we will continue to say it from morning to evening that it is everywhere. Even food that is coming to the table of an average worker now cannot satisfy them. And the ideal thing for any government is to protect the citizen. make sure that as an employer of labor, what you need to do is to make sure that you put more food on the table of an average worker. When fuel price has caused problem, how will you increase the food that is on the table of an average worker? This is why I want to call on government. There should be proper monitoring of our fuel production, distribution, and circulation, and whatever. You have to monitor it, because there are some people that are out there to sabotage people's effort for their own selfish interest. That is just.
Yes, Mr. Bright, Chief said, he mentioned something that when Dangote refinery came on board, there was a kind of little relief, at least to some extent. What if all our refineries were working very well, up to capacity? What do you think would happen?
Well, what would have happened will still happen. And what I mean by what would have happened will still happen is that we have an unserious government. The crisis in Iran is a blessing in disguise to Nigeria. Let's look at the geographical location of Africa and Nigeria. First of all, Dangote's refinery is about 650,000 barrels per day. And if you look at the composition of the NNPC and the crude oil extraction from Nigeria, OPEC gave us a quota of 1.5 million barrels per day. And we are producing 1.38 million barrels per day. And Nigeria domestic consumption jumped between 450,000 barrels per day to 500,000 barrels per day, which means Dangote refinery alone has the capacity going on in Iran. Because we are producing and we also have a local refining capacity. That is one. Then, if you look at what is currently happening, NNPC said they will give Dangote 350,000 barrels supply per day. And the total number of, vessel or metric tons Dangote need in a month is about 13. And NNPC is only supplying just 5, which is about 30 or 35% of its production capacity. Because of this crisis, they only increase it by 1 vessel. So which means the government is not even ready to look at it. Now look at it from the other dimension. As if you look at our budget for 2026, the crude oil benchmark is about $64 per barrel. But now crude oil sells between $90 to $110 per barrel, which means the government has some excess gain. Now I talk about the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz it majorly affects the Gulf nations, where Iran, which is an oil-producing nation, Saudi Arabia, an oil-producing nation, and Kuwait, and all those countries within that neighborhood. And these guys supply not less than 20 to 40% of the world's crude oil requirement that is coming from that region. So if they are supplying from that region, we are supplying from this region. So which means since the Strait of Hormuz have been blocked, definitely China and other nations who require crude oil from those nations will look down to Africa, look down to Nigeria. Dangote buys his crude oil from Angola, not from Saudi Arabia. He buys from the United States, not from Saudi Arabia. And these two locations do not require the Strait of Hormuz for him to receive supply. That should the NNPC not supply to him. So that's why I said at the beginning that if you look at the issue in Iran, we don't have a business in it. What the government can simply do is, okay, fine, we require 400,000 to 500,000 barrels per day. Enter a deal with Dangote refinery. We will supply you your need for local production, produced for Nigeria. Before subsidy came on board, there's a policy the NNPC went into. They call it direct sales, direct purchase. It was that direct sales, direct purchase that gave birth to this so-called subsidy scam. And direct sales, direct purchase simply means we have, there's what they call this, the IOCs, the International Oil Companies. They mine our oil. The government leases it to them. And whatever they drill from our oil, they give a 450,000 barrel on a daily basis to the NNPC for Nigeria's local consumption. So which means our local consumption from the energy structure have been settled. Now, that 450,000 barrels was supposed to be supplied to the local refineries. That's the Port Harcourt refinery, the Kaduna refinery, and the Warri refinery. But simply because these refineries are not working, so the NNPC went into the direct sales, direct purchase arrangement with some European refineries who will give you crude oil, refine for us, give us back PMS. You know, when you refine crude oil, you get close to 15 byproducts. You have gasoline, you have diesel, you have jet A1 fuel, you have petrochemicals, you have a lot, close to 15 byproducts. Take away those 15 byproducts, give us a PMS. So the cost of refining is going to take care of, those 15 products are going to take care of the cost of refining those products. And also they now entered into what they called free on board. So which means you refine it, you take the cost of refining from those other products and ship it back to us. So it covers for all that, and we will only get the PMS. But when subsidy issue began to creep in, a lot of fraudulent scam and whatever came on board, and that was where issues came with subsidy, and the government decided, okay, fine, let's do away to subsidy. Let's open up the market. And opening up the market, interestingly, we have a Dangote refinery. And the Dangote refinery has the capacity of taking care of our local needs. So at a time like this, the simple thing the government can actually do is to strike a deal with Dangote refinery, produce what Nigeria will need for its local consumption. A lot of inner charges will be cut off. I will give you two of them. Before the war, before the Iran and Israel war came on board, it cost about $100,000 to rent a vessel per day. But when the war started, the price jacked up to $500,000 per day to rent a vessel. Now, if Dangote is to rent a vessel, forget the cost of the crude oil, which is on the high side. It's going to pay for each day $500,000 to ship the product from wherever it's bringing it from into in Nigeria water, where to bet at its refinery. Those are costs that is being added. Then you now talk about insurance. And you know, when it comes to crude oil insurance, it's being championed by the insurance firms in London. And what is actually causing the blockage in the Strait of Hormuz is not as if there's a physical blockage, apart from the alleged naval mines, they call it, that was set up by the Iran guards on the waterways. The insurance company told those marine guys, the vessel owners, that look, we cannot give you insurance. And once insurance is not being provided, you cannot sail. And once you cannot sail, those ships will be stranded on the sea. And currently, as at yesterday, we have over 420 vessels being stranded for the past 3 weeks at that Strait of Hormuz.
Yes, it got down from 800 to that number that you talked
And why even got to that particular number, Iran took advantage of that. And they came up with it. They struck a deal, especially with China and some other countries, that, look, we will allow your vessel to pass, but you have to pay us.
Yes.
And that is why the U.S. is angry. They went for a peace deal which did not end well, and U.S. have given an order that the U.S. Navy should go and block it because the Iran is making money from it. So it's now becoming an international water that interests, political, regional, and economic interest is building up on that water. So the government knows what to do, but it's just so sad that the Nigerian government is deciding not to do anything. When Buhari came on board, there was recession. And what created that recession was because the price of crude oil fell down, and we all felt the impact. But now there is an increase. In fact, Jonathan government came under attack, that there was the oil boom in his regime, and the APC criticized him that they made a lot of money. The same APC is in government now. For the past 3 weeks, they've been making a whole lot of money from this war, but nobody is saying anything. Everybody is quiet. A serious nation will look at the difference. $64 per barrel, that was the benchmark. Now it's over $110 per barrel. Do the difference. You're talking of almost $50. That $50 can be used to cushion the impact and the effect of the fuel price. Or that $50 extra, which is supposed to go to the excess crude account, the government can actually use it to get more product for Dangote. So there are a lot the government can actually do. But it's just so sad that all we heard from Mr. President, that state government should go and take care of their people, which is supposed not to be, and give more money to states.
Yes, Chief. Just very recently, the TUC, they cried out. They said the federal government should come up with a kind of palliative for civil servants, which I said I just correctly that it is not only civil servants that are suffering. The Nigerian people are suffering. Okay, now, what the TUC is proposing, that the TUC, the Trade Union Congress, can make it work, and who should be targeted? Is it really the civil servants or Nigerians as a whole? The methodology they will use.
First and foremost, I want to appreciate the position of TUC, Trade Union Congress, as a labor center. And I want to correct an impression that may be coming from government or Nigerians that the only people they need to palliate are the public servants. Everybody needs palliative in Nigeria. Farmers need palliative. Private sector workers need palliatives. Artisan needs palliative. All those ones, they need palliative. Because even when you palliate an average worker, and the other group are not palliated, what you discover is that the palliative you give to those who give palliative to, it is those people outside that will collect the chunk of the money from them, and it will be useless. That is why I'm advising government, if you are palliating anything, palliate everybody in Nigeria, every Nigerians that are struggling to make ends meet. There are some ways you can use to palliate them. First and foremost, bring out buses, which most of them will be going to work with, even market women, men and women, like Omitutu buses. Bring them out. Federal government can also bring out some buses, fuel it, and allow Nigerians to enter it, to and fro their working places without collecting high price. That is one way. Another way is that the federal government should not sleep and leave all the wahala on the state governors or state governments. Whether we like it or not, we have problem in Nigeria. The problem of Nigeria is like garri and sand mixed together. I don't know the method of chemical separation that somebody will use to separate garri from sand, that the person who is going to drink that garri will not drink sand with it. We are in a complex situation. Whether we like it or not, palliating one group without palliating others, you are just causing problem. And the more you palliate, the more problem that will be coming on top of everybody you are palliating. Whether we also like it or not, government should make sure that salaries of workers should be increased. Their salaries, their take home as of now, 70,000 naira. Some are paying 80,000 naira. Cannot take them home. Even it cannot increase food on their table. And the best salary should be the one that can put more food on the table of an average worker, whether public servant or everybody that is working in Nigeria. Apart from this, we know that it is not easy. It may not be easy for state governors because of the corruptive tendencies in Nigeria to palliate their workers alone. Federal government should come to their aid by giving them huge sum of money, which they will do all those things I've suggested before. Then there must be what we call price control board. Because even when you palliate anybody, the market men and women, they are still there to carry all the money away from them, those you palliated. Go to these marketplaces, find out how much they are selling 1 Congo of rice, how much is a bag of rice is getting to the market. After this, try and say, this is the benchmark they must sell. If you don't do this, in the past, during Adebo Commission, and so on, they set up price control board. Muritala came and palliated workers with so many goodies. Why can't we do it? Why can't this government do it now and ensure that the money you are paying to these workers or the life of every Nigerian is well palliated?
Yes, Mr. Bright. How will this price increase, economically affect Nigeria?
Well, like I've said in different platforms, that petroleum fuel is a security product, and it has a way of catalyzing the economy. Once the president announced subsidy is gone, in less than 2 hours, price went up. In fact, one of the first things I noticed is that a lot of the filling stations locked up, and those that reopened adjust their price to about $3.50 per liter. And NNPC came up, they told us then that they have enough stock that will last till June that year. So those who are selling at that price, maybe they're on their own. And later on, NNPC later did a U-turn, and they started selling theirs at 500 naira per liter. Now, if you look at it, that almost immediately, price of almost all commodity went up. That's for crude oil, for petroleum. Now, let's look at it from the other aspect. There is a popular trend going on the social media talking about if you cry in Nigeria, they give you rice. Hospital is bad, they give you rice. And that period, some of us called the attention of the federal government that, look, if you start distributing rice, you will create a problem in the market because this rice is being sourced from the local market. Now, I'm selling rice, and a politician approached me that, look, we need like 50 bags of rice. We are going for campaign. We need about 100 bags of rice. We are going for campaign. I will not want to sell to the man that wants to buy 1 Congo, because I know the politician is coming with a good money to offer me. So the woman and the man who wants to buy 1 Congo half bag will be deprived. They won't get it. And when he moves to the other shop, he discovered that people are not selling to this politician. Automatically, the price goes up because it's going to create demand. And where there is demand, the price goes up. Now, when you now look at it from the economic perspective, you are a trader. You will go to your place of work. You require transport to get there. You have a business premises. Take, for instance, this media outfit. You need power. It's either you're on the national grid or you are using diesel. Formerly, diesel was about 1,002, but now you're talking of almost 2,000 naira. And imagine an organization using 10 liters per day. Multiply that by 2,000, and that's 20,000 in a day to power his or her premises. And why would they not ship that into the cost of their services? So these are critical. This is a critical asset. It's a critical product that government really need to look into. Now, we've looked at Nigerian inflation, and we've always complained. Government look at inflation as the cost of the item. But we tell government that no, it is not just the cost of item. It is the cost of production. If you're on band A, You know what it costs you to service your light to the disco. And if there is no light, you know what it costs you to buy, diesel to power the place. You know what it will cost you to pay staff salary. Gone are those days where people are looking for career jobs. When you ask a lady or you ask a guy that, please, there's a job vacancy, will you want to apply? The next question he or she will ask you is, how much are they paying? People are not interested in what they want to do. It's what they will get from you because of the economy. So if you lose a staff today, go to and ask from organization, you lose staff today, they find it difficult to replace. It's not because there are no competent people, but everybody is asking, will he pay me? How will he pay me? They will calculate their cost of transportation from their house to their place of work and their cost of feeding. So all this put together, it triples the price of commodity because the man will look, okay, if I'm to pay you this amount, what value will you add to me? And if you are not going to add that value that much, the organization will look at, okay, fine, let's combine 3 jobs. You have the front desk officer, you need a personal assistant, and you need a secretary. Let me employ one person to do these 3 jobs. So instead of me paying 3 persons, you combine the salary together and say, okay, I'll pay you 2/3 of what I'm supposed to pay you. He or she feels the money has gone up. The owner of the company feels he has dropped one staff and is paying one person, 2 persons salary. So everybody is doing calculation how to survive. If you go to the Manufacturing Association of Nigeria, MAN, they will tell you that a lot of products have been produced, but people are not buying because of the cost. And Nigerians have resorted into what they call scale of preference. I'm going to Gate from Idiape. How do I get to Gate? The bike man is telling me 300. This one is telling me 600. I know if I walk from here to this particular point, I will cut off the amount. It will be cheaper for me from that point. People walk some distance. So who the man was supposed to carry from point A will not be able to carry somebody from point A. You have to drive to point B because the passenger have decided to trek because of survival mechanisms. All these things are rubbing off on the economy. Now look at the system. We know the December economy because of the Christmas, the festive period. A lot of people spend their money. January happens to be a long month because they have to wait till the end of January for salaries to come. But midway into January, Iran and Israel crisis came on board. The price of commodity went up. Nigerians were locked in between. Trying to recover from that, the prices of things are going up. So you discover that situation like that lock people in their shell. And when people are being locked into their shell, what they do, they scale their preference. I need this, I need this, I need this. But I can temporarily do away with this and this. Let me drop this too. By the time you are dropping this to somebody is into that business of selling A and B, you are dropping. And because you are dropping A and B, the man or woman who is selling A and B will not sell. And his rent, he will not be able to pay. His children's school fees, he will not be able to meet up. Feeding, he will not be able to meet up because you have decided to drop it. Because you are scaling your preference. So also other Nigerians are scaling their preference because of the high price. So it is a trip. I've always been an advocate of, it is not just an increase in the salary. It's a good thing. In Nigeria, we increase the figures, 70,000 naira. But let's do a comparison. As at the time the government was paying 30,000 naira, what was the value of that 30,000 naira? If you go to the market with 30,000 naira, what and what can you buy? How much was a bag of rice as at that time? And how much is a bag of rice now that the salary is 70,000? Which means the problem is not just the increment of the salary that will solve it, but the value and the purchasing power of the people. Imagine if you are selling rice at 5,000 naira and I'm collecting 70,000 naira. I know the number of rice I can buy. Imagine if fuel is still 180 naira per liter. I know the number of liters of fuel I can buy. Imagine if beans is still 300 naira per Congo. I know the number of beans I can buy. Imagine if rent is still 1,000 naira for a single room. I know I can pay my rent. Imagine if school fees is still 10,000 naira per child. I know I can train my children. But now, you don't have them in that same value. all these prices have gone up because if you increase yours, for me to survive, I have to increase mine. And for the labor union and for the workers, for them to survive, they have to ask their boss or query their boss that they need a salary review so that they will meet up. And if everybody review, we'll discover that the economy will meet at a point and everything will level. Because I asked somebody, if as at now, we are paying 501 million naira for a 2-bedroom apartment in Ibadan, in the next 10 years, how much are we going to pay for that same 2-bedroom? Maybe we're talking about 1.5 million or 2 million. Then how much will be the salary by then? Salary must have gone to 501 million. Then in the next 10 years again, how much will not be 2-bedroom? Maybe like 4-5 million or 6 million. In another 10 years. So you see that the figure is going, but the value is where the problem lies. So that is where government can actually step in. Let's look at where we can strengthen the value of our currency. Because if you put 70,000 naira to $1, we know how much it is. Place it beside the dollars, how much it is. And if you are to put it 5 years ago, the minimum wage and the equivalent in dollars, we know how much it is. So it's value that matters. And it is only government and through its policy that can give us the right value.
Yes, Chief. According to what you said lastly there, do you think government will accede to the TUC's advances?
They may not accede to it. You know, they have their own analysts who will help them analyze the positions of TUC. They have their Ministry of Labor. They have their Federal Ministry of Finance. Because ability to pay. Because what the TUC will be saying is that pay this, pay that. Monitor supply, distribution, and whatever of fuel. If the government finds out that it will not pay them, they may not accede to it. But I want to appeal to government that they should scrutinize the position of TUC and pick those ones that can help Nigerians. Because whether we like it or not, as labor union, the interest of their members will be paramount in their mind than the interest of any other section of the economy. But if they discover that whether they pay them which money will solve the problem, and if they pay them, government should take care of those people that will collect all the money back from them, like the landlord owners and landlords, transporters. Because when you pay them 100,000 naira, remember, the transporters are waiting for them, whether you like it or not. The landlords are waiting for them. Where they will buy food, market men and women will also wait for them. I'm not saying that federal government should take all the suggestions of TUC, hook, line, and sinker, but they should scrutinize it and find a way, a middle way, where workers can be palliated, and the citizens too can also be palliated. That is just my suggestion.
So are there alternative solutions to address these fuel price hikes? Any alternative solution that you think, apart from what we mentioned earlier, like monitoring and all those?
Alternative solution to address it.
Yes.
Let our refineries, the 4 refineries, bring them to work. Let them start to work. So that even when a little problem in production, that's the only alternative that is on ground now, apart from those ones we have mentioned in the course of our discussion. Whether we like it or not, when you have 4 refineries, none of them is working. You are still importing crude. If all those ones are working, do you need to import? And when you import, it is affecting your economy. It is affecting our currency. Because you import in dollar, you don't import in naira. And when you do more of importation, microeconomically speaking, you discover that you are not doing anything that will help people. Because ọmọ tó ń kówó lọ síta àkótílétà níjọba tó bá ń kó àwọn èèyàn tó ń kó owó tó ń lọ ra nǹkan wá láti ta tí ò jẹ́ kí wọ́n ra nǹkan títí òun lọ sí ìta. The more you import, the more problematic your economy will be.
Yes, there was a time when there was turnaround maintenance during former President Obasanjo's regime, the first time, about 3 or 4 times. Nothing came out of it. Billions of dollars were expended. Then they left it there. People were still working, oil workers, businesses. Another one came up recently when they claimed that our 4 refineries were working, that they have started lifting crude.
They are lying.
Started refining. At the end of the day, we heard that there was nothing happening there. Now, it was then that the issue of compressed natural gas vehicles and other amenities came up. And, well, they tried. They brought them up. They imported some vehicles, buses, cars.
That you are using gas.
Now. But at the end of the day, when you go out now, if you want to buy petrol now, it is easy, although it might be expensive, easy for you to buy petrol than to buy CNG,
gas.
than to refill CNG, because it's just queues.
Whether you like it or not, we have discovered that all a lie. All their efforts. Corruption is causing problem. I was going from bus stop to roundabout. If you see the queue of this keke napep from former NEP office down to KS Motel, you think they are selling keke napep. What they are doing is to queue for gas, CNG. And what you discover is that, like you mentioned rightly, it pays and it is easier to buy petroleum for our cars than using this CNG system. It is not easy at all. It's like we are not ripe. The way I see it, Nigeria is not ripe to use this CNG something. They will keep from morning till night. And when they buy it, they bought it at exorbitant prices. That is even more than that of petroleum. Where are we going from here? Who is deceiving who? It may be true that they want to palliate us on transportation issue. But the way and the method and the corruptive tendencies of people that are handling the issue will never allow us to achieve success.
Yes, Mr. Brad, you were about to say something.
Yes, I was looking at the gas economy. Nigeria is actually blessed when it comes to gas reserve. We have millions of tons, is it metric tons or what they call it, of gas, cubic gas, whatever. And interestingly, I'm from the Niger Delta, and as you were talking, my mind, I picture 2 locations before I was born, even up to this very moment, where gas is being flared. Now, when this administration came on board, they tried as much as possible to invest in gas. And, you know, gas has 2 types. You have the liquefied petroleum gas, the LPG, which we have more of them in your cooking gas and the likes. Then you have the compressed natural gas. It's very light. In fact, it's one of the safest of all gas. Before it blows up a place, it's almost wiped up because it's even lighter than air. So that's why they call it compressed natural gas. But the method of extraction is different from the LPG, that's the liquefied petroleum gas. So when this president came with the palliative that we are going to give you CNG, we are going to give you CNG, they didn't do their homework very well. That, look, CNG is different from LPG. You can't get CNG as much as you are getting LPG, because if CNG is that easy, the world would have gone into CNG. I mean, go to US, how many of their vehicles drive on CNG? Go to Japan, where technology is they don't use CNG. Rather, they've gone into electric vehicles. It's taking over. And that is another threat to the petroleum industry, because everybody's going to electric, renewable energy, going to electric vehicles. So it's not something that the government has actually thought fully. In fact, when this Iran crisis came on board, the president announced that they should roll out 100,000 CNG kits. The question I ask, the CNG kit you are rolling out, is it for mass transit? Imagine what it will cost you to install a CNG kit on a keke. It will cost you the same thing to install that same CNG kit on a 32-seater bus, which is more economical. It is a 32-seater bus. A keke will just carry 4 passengers. 18-seater bus will carry 18. So government would have invested more in mass transit. In fact, when the government was talking about CNG and they want to roll out CNG buses, all we're expecting to see is BRT buses coming from the federal government. Before now, we've been seeing a federal government mass transit. When Jonathan came up with Shopee project, mass transit was part of it. So I see that the government is making a lot of economic blunders. And when they even claim they are doing economic reforms should have been strategic. If you want to go into CNG, you want to use CNG for transportation, are you using it for private or for mass transit? If you are investing it in mass transit, it will pay the people more. And if you look at the private, those who get this Marwa or Keke on hire purchase, they pay higher than those who get the petrol own. And that is why they find it difficult in even reducing their prices. Because two constraints they are having. Number one, they will spend almost the whole day just to fill their tank. And how much are they filling? Some say they will fill the whole tank. They may just fill maybe 2,000, 3,000. They go and work, waste another day. And who they are doing delivery to, they must deliver on a daily basis. So at the end of the day, all these things are not yielding results. The economy is not feeling it. So when you want to give out palliative, the first thing the government should sit down and reason, what kind of palliative are you giving? Palliative is just a short-term measure to cushion the impact, not a continuous, whenever there is problem, you give out palliative, whenever there is problem. It's just for temporary, like somebody who is sick. The first thing they look at, okay, let's check your temperature. Give him or her pain relief. The pain relief is to reduce the pain. Why? They get the problem and treat the problem. But in our own situation, pain relief is becoming the major drug they use in treating. So once you are sick, kill the pain. And once you kill the pain, they go on media and celebrate that the government is giving out this number of things, and it will not really solve the problem.
Yes, I want to thank you, Mr. Bright Richard, and for lending your voice to this issue that is talking about the rising fuel prices and the utility disposal. Of course, Chief Adidiji, thank you very much for coming on the program, sir.
Yes, thank God.
And Mr. Richard, too, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much.
And of course, we'll come your way again with another edition of Matters Arising on BCOS Television, Iliake Digital Basharon in the city of Ibadan. I want to thank my producer, Mutiru, my acting producer, Mutiru Gumwali, and of course, his boss, producer, Yemi Alau, my supervising producer, Omejedemi, and my executive producer, Dr. Lighton. Thank you very much for watching and enjoy the rest of the day. Good afternoon.